Wow, there's a lot of people here already. It's 6:30, right? I'm not late. 6:30 on the nose. I'm talking to people, Denise. Hold on. I'm going to lock my door so Denise can't talk to me. All right. Can you guys see me?
No.
Good. So this is being recorded. If you don't want to be on the recording, keep your camera off. Can you see me now?
Yep.
How's everybody today?
Good.
Good.
Good. All right. So I'm going to, we did a session this morning. I thought it went okay. No, Olivia wasn't on it this morning, but she's on it now. But we'll do another one now. Let me share my screen, and I'll try to move quickly and try not to be so boring. Uh, we are recording it, so we have a new employees will be able to watch these sessions online and catch up to us. Okay.
Okay.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
So just so you know, I added another tab. This is richardfeminella.com. It's just my name.com. This is my training site. I've had it for several years. I use it to train people on. And today and the next three sessions takes you through this website. But the last document, and I can't see it. There we are. The last tab says documents, and I added a new one now called Mae Daly training videos. So this is our welcome aboard yesterday video. It's just the managers talking. I did not put up you guys introducing yourself. I'll never post a video or anything of you guys without asking you. That's why I'm telling you, you know you're being recorded. You're going to be on the screen on this next training video. So you just know that you are. If you want, you just shut off your camera and you're not. With that said, we will begin. I need to go back to, all right, first page. So this first page of the training site is just my name. It says, welcome to things that people who work in restaurants should know. I believe this whole site is just base knowledge. It's a platform or a level of knowledge that you should have so we can begin training you in the restaurant. They're just things people should know, in my opinion. The rest of this first page we won't bother with, except this first paragraph is a disclaimer. I do not claim to have written everything in this site. Some of the things in this site were written by my friends. Some were just really good things I read online and grabbed and added to this. I wrote a newsletter for several years. And this was all excerpts out of my newsletter. Whenever I could give somebody credit for something written, I do. But I never want anybody to read this or share it and say, oh my God, he didn't write that. I don't claim to have written everything in it. I've written a good portion of it, but not all of it. The steak page was written by my friend Joe O'Brien. So it's just a spot that I put all the best things that I've read, learned about in one place. And most importantly, it's a very old picture of my son and me cooking at Oreo. And then there's a little about my background, and we're done with the first page. Let's go into the beginning of the meat and potatoes. You, the person. I think we touched a little bit on this subject yesterday, on orientation day yesterday. Self-evaluation. I know I said it yesterday, but none of us are the whole package. It doesn't exist in the world. Uh, we all have strengths. We all have weaknesses. It's nature. There's just not a perfect human being in the world or somebody that knows everything, especially me. But I really believe as a team, we can be that person because everyone has strengths and everyone has weaknesses. And if we take everybody's strengths and put them together, we're pretty perfect human beings as one. But that all begins with self-evaluation. We have to be honest with ourselves. I don't mean for this to sound like a life coach. This is just the way it is in the workforce, in the world, in any industry. We have to be able to look at ourselves and say, I'm really good at this and I'm not so good at that. I opened Oriel in 1999 at Mandalay Bay. The task set in front of us was to have the greatest wine program in the country. I was the boss. I could not put together the greatest wine program in the country. I couldn't do it today. But I found somebody that could, and he did it. And won all the accolades to say it was the best program in the country. Right? That's a reflection on me. Not on my wine knowledge, on I was smart enough to know I couldn't do it and smart enough to bring somebody in our team to make me can do it. And it always starts with self-evaluation. It's the hardest thing we do to ourselves. Be honest with ourselves. And, I'm not really good at that. The next topic is authority and respect. I can give you authority. I can't give you respect. I can say, Arian is now the general manager of the restaurant. Everyone here works for him. And everybody goes about their business and may never pay attention to one word he says. Just like on a football team, right? It could be the captain of my team, and the guys aren't listening to what he's telling them. That means they don't respect someone. Now, he can be a table attendant, and everybody in the dining room could be looking towards him for a lead on where he's going, right? That's authority. I'm sorry, that's respect. So you can give somebody respect, but you can give somebody authority, but respect they have to earn on their own. And if I give Arian authority, he doesn't earn your respect, that authority is useless. Because you're still not going to listen. Does it work like that in sports, Arian? Am I saying it correctly? Oh, you're on mute. I thought you just didn't want to talk.
Orion.
Orian.
You said it right, Orion.
I'm saying it's just like in sports, right? Same way. You can be the captain of a team.
Yeah.
If you players respect, big deal. You're the captain. Right? You're not going to get it.
Yeah. Usually, if you're the captain, like you earn that respect from your teammates.
So, that kind of leads us into leadership. People naturally become leaders. Once you earn your co-workers' respect, your boss's respect, your underlings' respect, you become a leader naturally. Your title, what I empower you empowers, all of a sudden doesn't matter in life, right? All of a sudden, I'm the captain, but everybody's looking to Orion for where we're going to do next, right? That means he's a natural leader. He earned that. I didn't give it to him, and it's a great quality for people to have, that they rise, and just kind of levitate to this leadership role, and when I say self-evaluation, in ways we all can become leaders. We don't have to be leaders in everything we do, right? But, Melissa's got one thing she's great at. We're going to look to Melissa, right, for guidance in that.
Right.
Because I'm not so great at that. So these kind of things just all tie together in the work life. Appearance. Through our training, we're going to get into a couple of marketing topics, but appearance could be for a company, could be for an individual. And in this particular topic, we're talking about a person's individual. Chris this morning during this training session said he's been pulled over twice by the police, once in a tank top, once in a suit. He didn't get a ticket in his suit. He got a ticket while he was wearing his tank top. How we hold ourselves out to the world is how the world's going to treat us. So appearance is important. Taking pride in our appearance at work is really important. I can't tell you how many times I've had to tell employees, we're in the hospitality, we're in the food end of the hospitality business. Hygiene is super important. I recently interviewed a person I did not hire because the odor was so offensive. I can't tell you how many times I've had to, in private, lecture people about taking a shower before you come to work. It sounds crazy, but it happens. So we need to take pride in the way we show up for work. You know, all this just doesn't happen. I put a lot of effort into it.
Yeah.
But it's important. And how we present ourselves to the world is how the world's going to treat us, especially in the workplace. It's very important. Work ethics. I hold management to a much higher standard than hourly employees for everything. Uh, in my other company, Charlie Palmer is the big boss, and anytime someone leaves, we always sat down and said, okay, did the employee fail or did we fail the employee? A lot of times we do. Once in a while, the employee fails. I'd say we failed the employee more times than employees fail us. It's a hard thing to admit to yourself, but it's true, right? Because if you're honest and look. So being on time for work, to me, that's a must. It's a must for everybody. And we call them JOB-isms, but that's after the fellow's named Joe Bryan. We call him JOB. But he constantly preaches, early is on time. On time is late, and late is unacceptable. Put your life in order. I get up an hour, at least an hour before I sleep over there. I work over here. I usually don't have much of a commute, but I still get up an hour ahead of coming over here, right? I'm usually on my computer. In my normal work life, 9 a.m., I'm running, right? So I'm up at 8. I like to have my coffee. I like to go on social media in the morning. I like to ease into a day. I hate rushing, right? It's me. But everybody should be early for work. 5 minutes. I'm not saying come an hour before work. But, if you run into work the last minute, your whole day is going to be like that. Your whole day is going to be, in your head, you just naturally feel like you're catching up constantly. It's not a good way to go. Separate your personal life from your work life. We all have issues. I'm a basket of issues. All right. I try to leave them at the door when I go to work. I compartmentalize my life. I have sections of the day. I do certain things, but when I'm at work, I'm at work. My head's in the game. I try not to let life get the best of me while I'm working. Be kind at work. That's the theme. I said our company culture is one word. Kind. Be kind. Be kind to each other. Be kind to the customers. Just be kind at work. It's the greatest thing you can do for a great work ethic. If you're kind to everybody at work is going to be kind to you. If somebody at work starts annoying you, talk it out. Don't talk to somebody else about him or her. Talk to him or her. Right? I annoy a lot of people in life. I know I do. I make friendships sometimes, and I just go, you know what? I annoy you. Let's cut our ties here. Just we all can't get along in life, but in work, I get along with everybody. I worked side by side with a guy for 23 years I couldn't stand. Got along with him at work. Could not stand the man. I always say, never let anybody beat you out of your job. I've had people quit our companies because they didn't like working with somebody else or a boss. And I'm like, you're out of your mind. I accept your resignation, but I'll be damned if anybody's ever going to beat me out of my job. I stay for spite. Seriously, I won't give in, So, that's the work ethic. Be on time for work. Bring a positive attitude. Be a plus in the situation. And if we all do that for each other, it's a pretty nice day at work. And that's what we want, a nice day at work. That's all anybody could ask. We also need to be mindful of each other. And, remember, we're working when the rest of the world's having fun, right? Thanksgiving, everybody's with their family, sitting down to dinner. We're serving those families. New Year's Eve, everybody's out celebrating. We're serving the people celebrating. That's why in our industry, a lot of friendships, long bonding friendships are made because we live on a different schedule than normal human beings. It just comes with the industry, you know. But we need to be mindful of that on stressful days, you know. If it's it's Thanksgiving, well, we're busy, that's stressful. There's going to be employees that are separated for their family that they are not happy about it, but they know this is what they chose to do for a living. But we need to be mindful of that. We got to give each other a little bit more courtesy or a little bit more understanding during those kind of times. But we do sacrifice in our industry. So sometimes there's other things bothering people when they're at work, but we need to be mindful of each other for that. I told the stories, Craig, I used him as an example. Craig's a bartender. He went and brought a dish rack to the dishwasher at the Four Seasons where we were working. He slipped, his foot went back, his foot went underneath the release of the hot water tank, and all the skin came off his right foot at 3rd-degree burn. There's dangerous things in the restaurant. There's fire, there's hot water, there's slippery floors, right? We all got to look out for each other. Don't ever walk by something that's a dangerous situation. Our guests' safety is super important, right? The restaurant business is 50% a manufacturing company and 50% a retail sales environment. That kitchen's a manufacturing company. Behind the bar, that's a manufacturing company. Do it wrong, you can kill people. It's serious business. Health safety, a serious business in the restaurant and hotel as well. All right. So we always we train, we get our health cards, but we got to practice it. It's not just about going online and answering some questions, right? They're making us do this for a reason. We have our customers and each other's safety at risk at all times. I don't think it's a super scary environment to work in, but it is a responsibility. We have people's lives in our hands. So, and especially allergies, you know, sometimes people don't realize like nut allergies, man. I've seen people go down in restaurants with nut allergies. It's crazy. And they never told the server, or the server didn't realize that a salad dressing had peanut oil in it. So we have to be careful of all these things. For me, it's been twice as hard because I've been working in multiple cities at the same time for most of my life, and the laws in Dallas, Texas, were different than the laws in Miami, which were different than the laws in D.C., which were different than the laws in Reno, which are different than the laws in Vegas. So I always had to learn where I was working and what the different laws are. We got it easy. We only have to know what the city of Las Vegas wants from us. And city of Las Vegas, anybody see me on TV this morning?
Nah. What you got going on TV?
We had to present to the redevelopment board, so to the mayor and city council, and they rejected it. It's always fun to go in front of the board. So I want to read this one. The next thing is passion at work. Vincent Bussell, what I know of his career, he was at the mansions at the MGM. We brought him over to Oriole, Las Vegas at Mandalay Bay. He was our chef for about a decade. And for the last 10 years, he's been the chef at Mon Ami Gabi, in front of Paris. It's a $40 million a year restaurant. Vincent's a great chef, a Michelin star chef. And here's his definition. And when I say, does anybody not know what a Michelin star is? Please be honest. A Michelin star.
I do not.
Did you ever hear of Michelin tires?
No.
Like Goodyear. You've heard of Goodyear tires?
Yes, yeah. Goodyear tires, yeah.
Michelin, a lot of tire companies write travel guides. It's a diversity of their business. So the Michelin travel guide is owned by Michelin Tire Company, is probably the world's greatest travel guide. It's an international travel guide. And like other travel guides, they give like 5 diamond awards, right? come from an organization. Well, Michelin stars comes from the Michelin Travel Guide, and they are the most prestigious awards in the world. Right? AAA does 5 Diamond Awards in the United States, right? AAA Motor Club. It's another car-oriented travel guide, AAA. So the most Michelin stars you can get in an individual restaurant is 3. It is. They only brought Michelin stars to the United States. You know, the United States is at the bottom of the food chain in cuisines. We don't have a cuisine that is recognized in an international platform. We have regional cuisines, right? We have Cajun cooking. We have Southern, style cooking. We have things like that, right? New England's known for seafoods and chowders. But you don't go to Italy and look for an American restaurant. But you come to America and look for an Italian restaurant, right? Or a French restaurant, or a Chinese restaurant, a Cantonese restaurant, right? Those are internationally well-known cuisines. We don't have one. So the Michelin Guide never gave stars in the United States because, Europeans are like, you're Americans, you don't cook. So about 15 years ago, they brought Michelin stars to the United States. It was a very big thing. Vincent Bussell is one of the first Michelin star chefs in our country. My friend Dante is the only Michelin star chef in the state of Ohio. There's one, Dante. Okay, it's a big deal. So this is a Michelin star chef, Vincent Bussell. And I used to ask chefs and industry professionals to write things as part of my newsletter. And here's Vincent's definition. Passion is a deep and overwhelming emotion towards accomplishing something. The satisfaction of creating and achieving something that is the best of all is worth more than anything else. Each day I give 100% and I strive to produce the best results, whether it's for a coworker, staff member, or guest.
Being recorded.
The self-satisfaction and energy when you get that you have accomplished something, that is passion. That is a guy that is so dedicated to his job. He loves Vincent. I couldn't get him out of the kitchen. Once I did, I couldn't get him back in the kitchen. He's with the guests. He's talking to his guests. He's between the kitchen and the dining room all night long, all day long, because he has a real passion for what he's doing. And we all have to find that type of passion in our jobs. If we don't get money is just one aspect of a reward of working, right? If you can't find some kind of passion in things you do, tattoo artists, great passion for their work, right? Great passion. Everybody, nurses have great passion for their work. Hospitality workers need passion as well. And we have to try to find that within ourselves. It's the only way to give great hospitality. Am I boring you guys yet?
No.
Nah, you're good.
Listen,
We still in it.
these are not restaurant things, right? These are things, like I said, I'm trying not to sound like a life coach, but we want to build a company culture, right? So this is how you do it. I can't build a company culture. We have to build a company culture. We have to be on the same page, right? So enthusiasm. Walt Disney, do what you do so well that they will want to see it again and bring all their friends. Nothing sums up what we do for a living in the hospitality industry like that, right? We want to excite somebody so much that they can't wait to come back and bring their friends with them or bring their family with them. That's our goal. We don't want the guy to, hey, your food was good. Yeah, thanks, man. You're never seeing him again. I'm never seeing her again, right? And the only way we can get there is we have to be enthusiastic about what we're doing. I'm a rock and roll fan. The first time I saw the band The Who, their guitar player, Peter Townsend, my takeaway was he had so much to say on that guitar, he couldn't stand it. Like you could see it in his face. He played like, you got to hear this. It's unbelievable, and you're drawn to him in a performance. You can't take your eyes off him because he's so enthusiastic about what he does. And people love that. And we have to be like that. And if we don't believe in our product and our service, we shouldn't be in the business. We shouldn't be in any business if we don't. Mentoring and coaching. This affects us all. Without reading the screen, anybody know the difference besides Vanessa, who's on this morning's training? Anybody know the difference between coaching and mentoring? They're kind of the same thing, but they're not. So,
coaching is in the moment. Mentoring.
right. Coaching is in the moment. Mentoring is a long-term thing, sometimes a lifetime thing. Jason told you guys that I sent him to wine school years ago. I sent him to bartending school, that did all these things, put him in different jobs. He goes, it was like Richard was trying to plan my life, since I was born. Richard was. I mentored Jason, right? I want Jason to build a career for himself. He can't do that in a year. He's done a lot of things, and now he's ready to elevate his life. And he's excited about this, Jason, right? That's mentoring. It's a long-term process. I can't mentor you in a weekend, but I can coach a team over a weekend, right? So that's the difference between coaching and mentoring. It's mostly time. It's an investment. We had a Chef Lalo. I hired him. He was 18 years old, couldn't speak English. He was a dishwasher. Roll the clock 15 years ahead. He's the executive chef at the Four Seasons. I didn't mentor him. Our director of operations, this guy, Joe O'Brien, mentored him for 15 years. He took him from dishwasher to executive chef, and, from the highest end stuff that exists. That's mentoring. It's a commitment to each other, to make each other better over time. And we don't give up, okay? And that's not just from bosses to, management to hourly or whatever. Vanessa will be mentoring people. She's our lead server. She's going to be a mentor for people. And after she trains them and coaches them, she'll naturally probably, because she's a good person, she's going to keep an eye on them, right? And make sure they keep progressing. It's just going to happen naturally. She's not going to be able to avoid it, right? That's what mentors do. And once it's in, once you're locked in on someone, you just can't avoid it. We all need to be that way because, like I say, we all have talents that others don't. So all those things we talked about lead into employees, their engagement. Are you engaged in what you're doing? Are you really present? Right? You always see this in movies or sitcoms or TV shows with couples, and the husband and husband, the wife and wife, the husband and wife, the wife and the husband, the boyfriend and girlfriend, so on, right? It's like, you're talking, but you're not listening to me, right? That's a person that's not engaged, right? We want to be present at all times. And the things we just talked about leads to engagement. We're present. We're here. We're participating. We're a positive plus to what's happening around us. Now, this is a silly topic, communication. As technology increases, when email became a thing, I had a major problem. People stopped talking to each other. I had to write memos. I had to hold meetings in the company and teach people to start talking to each other again. And we set out a new protocol that email was not an acceptable primary form of communication. It's limited. It's a great way to immortalize something or take notes from a meeting that you can refer back on or place an itemized order with. It's a very useful tool, but it's a very limited form of communication. Then texting became popular. Most people under 20 don't know you can talk into a telephone. It's true. I mean, everybody texts. And what amazed me is when texting first started, there was only a keypad. So you would have to punch I don't know, the letter 2. You punched it once, it was A. If you punched it twice quick, it was B. If you punched it 3 times, it was C. And kids automatically were like, it was like, but again, it was very limited. This morning, Craig is a nice guy. Craig is a nice guy. Those are 2 different sentences, same words. That's why those forms of communication talk to each other. All right. And the other example I gave this morning, I have a friend that's a real estate agent. She bought a pretty savvy, expensive, artificial intelligence program. She says 3 sentences. It writes her a 1-page letter to her clients. It's horrible, but the thing really works well. I'm like in shock. You know? But it's just another step backwards, in my opinion. The more technology goes forward, to me, the more communication goes backwards. So the message is we need to talk and communicate to each other in real time, in a real way. We will have one of the training sessions. We're going to watch some videos. One of the videos is about types of employees. It's a really great thing, but there's 4 types of people that, we find in the workforce. The best person is a performer. They're pushing this cart, right? The name of this company is Struggling Company. And these performers, they're behind the cart, they're pushing it, they're making things happen, they're helping everybody, they're getting that cart to move along, right? Then there's the doer. They're good workers. They're not fully engaged, right? They want to learn, but they're not the performer yet, right? But they're good employees. They can become performers. And then as we go down the food chain, we got the potential trouble sources. It's that person that you work with that they don't really say or do that much. They do their job, but you never feel totally comfortable around. There's always, there could be an issue at any moment. It's like working with Denise. There could be an issue at any time. Yeah, I'm kidding. But, and then at the bottom is the suppressive person, They're holding you back. They're making your job harder. They're not carrying their weight. They could care less, And they're acting like they're, I'm nice, but they're never going to lift a finger to help anybody, right? So we all should be striving to become performers, and we should be helping each other to become, performers. These are also leading to the next topic. Everything in this page kind of builds. Like you need all these kind of principles to keep moving ahead. And, and if we do those things, we can create a happy environment to work in. Work should be happy. It's a strange concept to a lot of people. I'm happy to go to work this morning. I'm happy to go to work. I've been going to bed at 11 o'clock, 11:30 every night so I can start working at 6 right now because I got a lot to do. I'm excited to get up in the morning and do it. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird. I get a lot of fulfillment out of accomplishing things. That's part of my happiness, But we have to figure out if we do all these other things that we're talking about, we can help each other be happy at work. And your family will be happier. Your life gets happier. Mom, dad, significant other, whoever comes home, they come home in a bad mood. I have a bad night. They come home in a good mood. You have a good night, right? So we can help each other's whole lives get better by having a great work environment. It's important. We talked about employee health a lot. So I use myself as an example. When I open a restaurant, it gets hard. I forget to eat. I whack out my blood sugar. I've wound up in the hospital a couple of times opening restaurants. I get so caught up in task management, getting things done, I forget to take care of myself. And if you're not healthy, you're no use to anyone, especially yourself. So I like to go out and see music at night. I have not seen a musical performance in 3 weeks because they happen late at night and I have to get up early in the morning right now because construction workers go to work really early. They're out of their minds. But they need to ask me questions in the morning. That's the reason I have to get up. I don't consume alcohol right now. Alcohol takes away my energy level. I need every ounce of energy during this. But I've gotten smarter as I've gotten older. I forget to eat. And then I gave myself, not diabetes, the opposite thing. Hypoglycemia. I gave myself hypoglycemia once. I'm running. I'm going past the pastry station as we're opening this restaurant. They're making great chocolates, everything. I'm like, sugar high all day long. Next thing I know, I do a face plant in the dining room and I'm unconscious. You need to take care of yourself in life. Especially, I was saying, when we're younger, we think we're going to live forever and, we can just burn the candle at both ends forever. But you really need to, mentally and physically take care of yourself. You'll be happier, you'll be a better employee, you'll be a better coworker, and everybody in your life is going to appreciate it a whole lot more. Trust me. I did not live my whole life healthy. I live healthy now, and I'm a lot happier in life.
Richard, I just want to remind everyone, like I did earlier, being a guy who's been on his feet since he was 18, that shoes are very important for our industry. Take care of your feet and your legs.
Yes. It's not just in the kitchen too. I said, Craig had to have stem cell treatments to rebuild the cartilages in one of his feet. Because he just went too long constantly and pushed himself.
Yeah, he was always wearing Chucks to work too.
Yeah. So the next thing is motivating employees. And that's not just from management to hourly, right? We all need to motivate each other. It's important. So, again, these topics on this page, they all build on each other. Good, strong, clean communication with each other, right? Kai might be doing something in the dining room and, I don't think it's right, or I feel like he's hindering me, or I'm doing something that Kai feels like that I'm hindering him. And I'm the proprietor and he's a table attendant. It doesn't matter. Kai needs to come to me and say, dude, we got to talk about this. You got to straighten me out, Kai, right? And the only way we're going to do that is if you talk to me, right? We also talk, I don't try, and please stop me if I ever do it to anybody. I hate to micromanage anyone. I'm a firm believer, if I hire you to do a job, do it. I'm not telling Chris what to do. I asked Chris, can you handle open table, get our reservation system set up? Here's the draft wine list. Finish that off. And will you mind taking over the point of sale system, the computer system for the restaurant, and getting that all programmed? Chris says, no problem. I don't bother Chris anymore. If you need something from me, I'll help you, but you have to ask me to help you. Okay? If I tell Chris, I want you to set up open table, here's the floor diagram, do X, Y, and Z, only put 3 slots in at 5 o'clock, and then every 15 minutes, I didn't tell him any of that. Like, you and I will talk about it, but, you lay it out the way you want. I'll give you an opinion. We'll come to common ground. That's the way I like to work. I like to think if you're hired into this company, you're very smart. You wouldn't be here if I didn't think you were. So why would I tell you what to do? Right? You'll see as we get down the road, my role will get less and less active. Chris's role will get more and more important. But Chris and I are doing a lot of this stuff, and Jason has been doing it for months, and Vanessa. Vanessa, you've never worked in the industry. Do you feel that I value your opinion on anything?
I do, yes.
Right? Is that a good feeling?
It is.
I'll let you in on a secret. I really don't care what you think. No, I value your opinion. I do value Vanessa's opinion. She's an intelligent human being. If I only go with what I think, it'll be the same old crap. She can uplift with it. And she has. We've worked on the training schedule together. I took her input seriously. I changed the times. I changed subjects. Am I lying, Vanessa?
No, you're correct.
So if you guys don't like being on this call, blame Vanessa. But that's to me, that's the way I like to work. That's the way I think we all should work. Everybody's got ideas. We gotta at least listen to each other. At minimum, right? We gotta consider everybody's feelings. So I try to give you guys input. I try to give you the authority to make decisions. And eventually, especially a year from now, I don't plan on coming to work every day with you guys. I'm sorry, but I don't want to work with you forever. I want you to outgrow me. You know what I'm saying? I want you to be better than me, and you don't need me. That's my goal. Because I got a lot more of these I want to open. Right? So I got to go and start the next team and the next team. And a lot of you guys will be with me, leaving that store and going to the next place and the next place, right? Hopefully that's the goal. everybody in this team right now, hopefully, is a place to build this company bigger and bigger, an opportunity for everyone. That's our hopes for everyone. So there will be opportunities for people to grow. I mean, I plan on Jason working way more than me. Encourage each people to contribute. This meeting, I'm moving quickly through the topics. At the end, if you guys have things you want to talk about or topics you want to revisit that we're running through, do it. But we are trying to create a training video here at the same time. And we blew it this morning, so I'm moving quicker this afternoon. But I don't, I can't do this every time we hire an employee. But I'd like them to have the same advantages of the starting employees. That they get that foundation, so they'll be able to go online and watch you guys right now training. Friendships in the workplace are natural, but all my friends came from work. Almost all of them. Almost all of them. It's a natural thing, But when we're at work, we try to be professional. So you have to figure out that line. You're going to make friendships at work. It's just a natural thing. But we got to stay professional in the workplace. Big thing. You are all brand ambassadors to our company. How you represent Mae Daly's affects my livelihood, affects everybody on this call's livelihood. The example I used this morning, I had Peaky Pubs around the corner from my restaurant almost 20 years. I used to go there after work, get a burger. I always worked late. They serve food all night, not very good food. They serve food all night. And the biggest part I loved about stopping there to get something to eat before I went home was midnight. That shift from the strip comes in from all the different restaurants and all the industry workers. And oh my God, they bash where they work so bad. I was like, I pray to God my employees aren't somewhere drinking after work doing this. I beg you all, don't do that. You're only going to hurt your livelihood. If we get a bad reputation, business goes down, your earnings go down. Right? You have a problem with the company, talk to us. You want to vent. Don't do it in public where people hear. Everybody in the world is a potential customer, and we all need to protect our brand. I did a big event for Bill Gates with Microsoft. Oh my God, I made a joke about Apple. I thought these people were going to stab me. They take that brand so seriously. Like, lighten up, people. I apologize. I was trying to be funny. They're like, we don't joke about Microsoft. And I mean, like 5 people at once jumped down my throat. I was like, whoa. I thought I was going to get a beat down or something, But I learned something that day. These people were very prideful of where they work and their product. And they didn't want to hear anybody even kid around about it. I was very impressed. I mean, that's a real commitment to what you do, So, always remember, you're representing our brand. You're representing my livelihood. More importantly, your livelihood, your kids' livelihoods, your family's livelihood. A lot depends on jobs. People don't realize. I laid off over 1,000 people during COVID. I was getting sick at the same time. Laying off those 1,000 people definitely put my sickness into hyperspeed. That amount of pressure was ridiculous on me because I wasn't just thinking about the 1,000 or so people that we just laid off. Is that 3,000 people's income? 4,000? These are family people. These are, couples, married people, whatever. It was a whole lot more than 1,000 people got affected by shutting down the company, right? You got to think of it that way. I hate the biggest thing I've always hated in life was having to let people go, fire somebody. I hate it. I hate it. And my boss would never do it. So I had to let people go. And in my head, if I had to let somebody go, it was to protect everybody else at that location. Because if somebody's doing stupid things that can shut a business down, that's 70, 100 families that will be unemployed. It's really important. So, we need to take our company very seriously. And I touched already on, you'll all have a point that we'll have a conversation about, the hospitality industry, if that's going to be your career, where you want to go, and try to find paths for everybody as we grow the company. I just believe in that. If we have to hire people from the outside to constantly fill higher jobs, we've hired the wrong people, because people, in my head, should naturally want to do better in life. But I'll give you an example for Rob. The world is changing. Rob's got it right. Rob, our kitchen manager's a family guy. He's got kids. His oldest boy is now 12. Rob's an athlete. He wants to get more involved in his son's life. He wants to coach full time. Took this job because it worked for his personal life, and he had the qualifications. That's a win-win. I got a good guy. Rob got a job that can make the other parts of his life that are important work well, right? I knew first time I met him, like the first 60 seconds or so, I was like, I'm going to hire him. I'm going to offer this guy a job. He was here for all the right reasons. He's intelligent. He's a team player. He had it all to me. I think Rob's going to be a huge asset to all of us. So, he's going to be on, maybe 20% of his job's computer. It's like, I'm not the greatest on a computer. I'm not scared of it. I just never had a job where I'm on it a lot. And I was like, not a problem. I'll teach you what you need to know on the computer. Teaching somebody is easy for me. Finding the person that wants to learn is hard. That's the hardest thing. I'm not going to get too big, long-winded on employee discounts. If you want to come in and eat, you're welcome to come in and eat. We will have a discount for you. I do not discount alcohol for employees. You cannot come into our cocktail lounge, sit at the bar, or high tops. I don't serve employees in the bars, and we discourage alcoholic consumption by employees to come in. There's zero tolerance for drinking at work for everyone. We don't send beers to the kitchen after the shift. I will not be at the bar drinking after work. I may have a glass of wine occasionally, but it's not a common occurrence. But we just don't drink at work. No one drinks at work. Work's not a place to consume alcohol. I know in our industry there's all different variables of tolerance with alcohol. Ours is zero. You really don't have to talk about it any more than that. Okay? We have no tolerance for drinking. There's no shift drinks. Just doesn't happen. Don't do it. We don't have any tolerance for it. That's the end of this first topic page. We can continue, or we can take a short break for 5 minutes. What do you guys want to do? I know I'm talking a lot, but I got to get through all this.
Both is fine with me. Either one.
Want to move forward? The next page is not as long if you want to move forward right now.
Let's move forward.
Okay. We'll definitely take a 5-minute break after the next page then. The next page is called service. Hospitality. Without reading the screen, somebody give me a definition of what they think hospitality is. And not you, Chris. Jason, come on.
Well, starting off by making people feel welcome. Greet them with a smile, conversation. Exceed their expectation as far as if there's something we don't have, try our best to make it happen.
Yeah, no, all elements of hospitality. You haven't said anything wrong. Anybody else to add to that list? Where's Kai? He hasn't said anything. Come on, Kai.
I was gonna say, I think Jason pretty much covered everything I was gonna say right there. Just warm welcome, exceed expectations and needs.
Okay, and you guys are right. Here's the best definition of hospitality I heard, and I said this morning, I can't remember the chef's name. I watched the TED Talk, and it was a chef owner of a restaurant, I think in Arizona or Colorado, and he summarized it that hospitality done right is a power, like a superpower. Because you have the ability, when you do the things you guys are talking about, if you do them right, you can change a person's mood. You can uplift a person. You can take an unhappy person that comes into an establishment and turn them into a happy person if you do the things you guys are talking about right. And that's to him what hospitality is. It's like it's my superpower. You know what I'm saying? It's all the things you guys are saying. But the example I used this morning, I had a couple. Aziz Zari, one of my best friends, was ran the dining room in Oriole, and he goes, I I was the boss, but he bossed me around. And he said, Richard, table 23. So I go over to the table, and I got a husband and wife sitting there with a big puss on. And I said, I understand there's a problem here. Can I help? And the husband said, yeah. He goes, you don't have a damn thing on this menu. I'd eat. And I could see the wife was kind of mortified. And I said, okay, I understand. And I asked him for his menu, and he gave me my menu, and I held it at my chest, and I said, just tell me, sir, what would you like for dinner tonight? I don't care what it is. I'll make it happen for you. And he said, I want a New York strip medium well. I want a baked potato, and I want to start with a shrimp cocktail. I said, very good, madam. I'll get to you. And this guy's looking at me like I was full of crap, you know? And she ordered off our menu. I ran into the kitchen from there. We had a steakhouse next door. Called the steakhouse. He sent me over a New York strip medium well, a shrimp cocktail, and a baked potato. They got it over there as quick as they could. Before their dessert came, the wife came back up to the front of the restaurant and asked to speak to me for a second. And I said, sure. And she goes, I just want to thank you. She goes, tonight was our 25th wedding anniversary. And if it wasn't for you, there won't be a 26th. That's hospitality. I changed their mood. I saved their night. They left very happy. Even the husband came up to me at the end before he left, shook my hand, and said, what you did was unbelievable because I can't believe you did it for us. And, your anniversary was very happy. That's hospitality. We changed those people's night. And I like to think maybe we saved their marriage. But I know I saved the night. And that's all I could hope for, right? So hospitality is like your superpower if you do it right. Customer service. We talked about this yesterday at the orientation. The 3 bad experiences. I said 24%. It's 26. But hospitality leads into customer service, or like all the things you guys were talking about, Kai and Jason. That's customer service, right? The elements of customer service are factors in great hospitality. But the edge of great hospitality really lies on your personality, who you are, and if Denise and I did our job right, you're the type of people that can elevate just those points of customer service into great hospitality. Because we believe you guys have the right DNA to do that. That's why we hired you. Okay? Does that make sense that I just explained that?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and the other key element of customer service is anticipating guest needs. We're going to be giving away flat water, sparkling water. We have a $15,000 water purification tower coming, right? Environmentally, selling water isn't really good for the environment. Most of these waters are just purified water, the same thing we'll be producing. Our system is producing a lot less than the huge commercial water purifiers. So actually, the water we produce will probably be better than what's in most bottles. We will have bottled water because certain guests really want bottled water. And that's fine, we'll carry it, but I don't think we'll sell a whole lot of it. Nationally, our water sales, the average restaurant, we'd sell $25,000 a month in water 10 years ago, bottled water. The average restaurant now in my company across the country, it averages about $4,000 to $5,000 a month in bottled water sales. People just aren't doing it anymore for numerous reasons. I forgot the point I was making here. Customer service. But anyway, I had a point here and I lost it. I'm sorry. Senior moment.
One of the things I always like to say is, being proactive instead of reactive when it comes to taking.
Anticipation. That's it. Thank you for bringing me back, Chris. So,
No problem. That's what I'm here for.
we're giving away water. There's no charge on the check. There's no nothing, right? So, anticipate that. Don't let the glass get empty. Don't wait till they have to ask you for more water. If you see they ate the bread basket in 30 seconds, ask them if they'd like another bread basket. Anticipate every need along the line. When I trained my first staff in Las Vegas, I blew it bad. In New York City, which was where most of my experience was, if not all, up until that point till I came to Las Vegas, we do service what's called sublime service in New York. People in New York don't want to talk to the waiter. They don't want to talk to you. So success was, I can't even remember who my waiter was, right? That's why we called it sublime service. They were in, they were out. I trained the staff in Vegas the same way I trained the staff in New York City. Instantly, people started saying we were pretentious. It was bad. It was bad because it was the first time dealing with a different type of customer, right? Vegas is very mid-America. A lot of people are traveling on vacation. They got a lot of questions. They want to engage here with service people. New Yorkers are snobs. I'm sorry. But Mr. Marks, you're a New Yorker. You know what I'm saying? It's different here, right? The first time I moved to the suburbs.
Completely understand what you're saying.
I moved to the suburbs. I'm a real New Yorker. I used to be. I'm a real Las Vegas now. First time I moved out of New York with my wife, we bought our first house in suburban New Jersey. Nice little town. And I think it was there 3 days, and I decided to go check the mail. And I was used to the mail coming into a slot in my front door. Now I had to walk down the block to a cul-de-sac mail rack or whatever it was. And I'm going down the block, and the guy's coming up. And he goes, "Hey, how are you?" And man, I gave him the skank eye. Strangers don't say hello to you in the street. I don't care. I don't know how to react. This guy must have thought I was a real jerk. And it's funny, but service is different out here. People want to engage. So we actually had to retrain our staff the first time we opened here. Literally, we went through training all over again and had to teach them a different way to engage the guest and to be more welcoming. Washington, D.C., name recognition, name recognition, name recognition. If you don't know the people's names that come in your restaurant, they don't come back. When we opened in Washington, D.C., we did our research. We knew this about the city. I hired this guy, I think was 80 years old, the maitre d' I hired. There wasn't a person that lived in Washington, D.C. that he didn't know. And I paid him a lot of money to just stand at the front door and greet people. Senator X, Congressman Y. Very embarrassing in Washington, D.C. for a politician to walk in somewhere and they don't know who he is. You're done. You might as well pack up your toys and go home. So, but that's not everywhere, but that's particular to Washington, D.C. I find, and Chris is here longer and worked more here than me, but Chris, I find this market, we have to engage our guests. Sublime service doesn't fly.
It's the entertainment capital of the world.
And not all. You'll learn to read the tables. 4 businessmen deep in discussion, they're not going to be that chatty. 2 couples come in, they're on vacation from Ohio, and they're going to want to talk to you all night. You learn the difference. New York, nobody wants to talk to you. Ever. Quick thing about selling a table. We don't have hostesses here or hosts, so it shouldn't be that much of a problem, but there might be a time where you have to step up to the front door and just because Chris is pouring wine and I'm running doing something or whatever. So if you wind up having to seat a guest, that's fine. If we tell a guest that, I'm sorry, we're totally booked this evening, or it'll be 2 hours for a table or anything like that, which I hope we have that problem. And then I whip out a $100 bill, can you do anything for me? Very sorry, sir. You have to stand your ground. If I take that $100 and I bump somebody else and put that person in front of them, that's the beginning of an end of a reputation to a business. I used Oriel for example. We were the first high-end restaurant open when Mandalay Bay opened. Most of our competitors didn't open when the hotel opened. I had to work the front door myself. I mean, people would offer me up to $500 to get into the restaurant for a table, and I never took a penny from anyone. And even I took it as far as even if I had room and they offered me tips, I didn't take it because I didn't want that restaurant to get that reputation that you have to buy your way into Oreo. It's a terrible reputation to have. So that's called selling a table. I want you guys to make as many tips as you can, as much money as you can. Don't get me wrong. That's just the one tip you can't take. It's the only one. Okay? Can't bump somebody for $100 because all we're doing is getting the other customer really mad.
Right.
There's a great Jerry Seinfeld episode on the TV show Seinfeld. I don't know if anybody's a fan, but it's a Chinese restaurant episode. And they had a reservation, and the maitre d' just keeps bringing people in front of them because everybody's tipping the maitre d'. And they had the reservation, and they couldn't get sat. You know, it's just terrible. It's so funny that Seinfeld picked up on that. Wow factors. Somebody explain to me in a dining experience what could be a wow factor.
Just the example that you gave, where you you went beyond the person's expectation and got the food that they wanted, even though you wasn't serving it.
Yeah, it can be anything. But once you rise above the normal dining experience, it could be as simple as New Year's Eve, my telephone was dying. I was in a major hotel in Las Vegas, and I could not get a phone charge. There was no phone charging station. I went to the concierge desk. They did not have phone chargers at the concierge desk. I went to each of the host stands in the restaurants in the place. No one had a charger. Luckily, I knew the chef in one of the restaurants. He had the same phone as me, and he charged my phone. I would have went home. I have a handicapped child. I cannot be out without my phone working. I cannot be out of pocket. Right? So it's New Year's Eve. I would have had to come home. And it was mind-boggling to me that somebody could have a major hotel in Las Vegas and not have a phone charger for a guest. We will have phone chargers for our guests. Guest asks you for a phone charger, you're just going to go up to whoever else there's the front desk. I have phone charging stations at the front desk. I have USB ports in the wall. We're prepared for this stuff, right? We're going to take care of it. You're going to get a $20 or $30 tip for doing that, easily. Most people will give you $20 because you charge their phone. That's a great, and it's a wow factor. It's like, that was no problem. I spent 45 minutes New Year's Eve trying to find a place to charge my phone. Sounds stupid, but that's my situation, right? And thank God that chef was there, or my New Year's Eve was over. I had to head home, So there's lots of ways to do wow factors. We'll talk more about them, but yeah, whenever you see that opportunity, it's a great opportunity to make a long-term guest. It's also a great opportunity for you guys to up with your tips, right? People appreciate the person that goes the extra step, the extra mile. They really appreciate it. Eyes wide open. If you look at number 1 to 5 on this slide, everyone in the restaurant, I don't care if it's a dishwasher walking through a dining room, should always be looking at our guests and making sure there are no sad faces in our dining room. There's several ways to ID unhappy guests for different reasons, right? Facial expression, number 1. Guy's got a frown. Woman's got a frown on their face. Is there something I can do for you here, right? Just engage. See something. Who knows, right? We should never see somebody looking around the room trying to find a server. I told this point. I'm your worst nightmare. If you're an absent server and you have me, I will stand up. I don't care how high end the restaurant is. After 2 or 3 attempts to try to wave somebody down for what I want, I will stand up and go, "Can somebody help us over here?" I've done it in restaurants I've owned with my own staff. It's like insanity to me that nobody is watching a table. And you'll see the way we have service designed, our guests should never experience that. You're not leaving your station to go get a drink. You're not going in the kitchen to drop off 30 dishes. There's no reason for you ever to leave your guests unattended. The food's brought into the dining room for you. The liquor will be drawn, the drinks will be drawn into the dining room from you. the wine bottles were filled for you and brought to your tables. You're there for your guests. And when you do that, the biggest complaint letter I get over the years, and answering complaint letters is not a fun job. I didn't even know who my waiter was. Chris, have you ever seen those? You know, we're not doing the captain, front waiter, back waiter, food runner, busser service. It doesn't work. It can work. We've done it right. It is so hard to maintain. But I have found from reading complaint letters that it usually just confuses the hell out of the average customer. Sophisticated diners get it. We're in the steakhouse business. They come to steakhouses because they don't like pomp and circumstance and, you know, all this foo-foo that happens in, and there's nothing wrong with it, like an elevated French restaurant or something. I love it. Done well, it's like watching a ballet. The steakhouse people are not those people. They're very straightforward people. So we need our service to be very straightforward. And they need to know who you are. And they need to know you're their person, right? People looking around for help. If you watch a table and they're sitting silently, and I said, except for married couples, people that go out for dinner usually talk. You know, some married couples don't. But you know, that's a sign that it's not going well at that table. You know, it really is. You know, so you walk over and just, you know, you bring your sunshine over there and see how you can make them happy. Odds are something's wrong with their dining experience if they're not talking at a table. If you look at a table and there's not a drink on a table or food or anything happening, usually something's wrong. There's no point in the dining experience where people have nothing, right? So, you know, that's another telltale. And body language, you know, people look uncomfortable in their chair and, you know. So we got to learn to read people. We got to make sure that we're not just looking, when I call it eyes wide open. It's just not my 4 tables. It's anyone, anybody in the restaurant, right? I happen to walk past the cocktail lounge and I see people unhappy at a high top and I'm in the dining room. I'm going over to the high top, right? Maybe their server got stuck. The beverage attendants have more duties than the table attendants, right? So maybe she got stuck or maybe he got stuck. So, you know, just make sure we're looking at everything.
And then, guys, please send me. I enjoy going to those tables and turning a frown upside down. Send me.
Yeah, send Chris.
Send me. Then I'll send Richard if I have to.
No, I like doing it too. I do. So that leads into the next portion of this topic. So, Arian, you're not happy, right? What's the first thing when you're not happy with something? What's the first thing you naturally want to do?
Figure out how to make myself happy.
And how do you do that? Like, what physically? What's the first thing you're going to do when you're not happy?
I'm gonna talk to whatever's not making me happy. Like if it's a person, I'm gonna say something. I'm communicating to the person. Hey,
you want to express yourself. You got to get it out of you, and that's step one. Always with the customer service. One of our coworkers is a flight attendant. High stress job, much more pressure than working in a restaurant because they're cooped up. There's nowhere to go. You have to listen to people. Whether you think their complaint is founded or not, people got to get it out. That's the first step of turning that situation around, right? After you tell me, Arian, your problem, what do you expect? What's the next thing you expect?
Well, first, I want to make sure you're listening to actually what I'm saying.
I want to be heard. Listen to the guest. That's one, right? Because the guest wants to be heard. I heard you. What do you expect me to do now or say?
Say it again.
What do you expect of me now? I came over. I listened to you.
Oh,
what do you expect to do now?
Well, I expect you to help solve my problem.
Right. But before that, I think you want to hear me say, I'm sorry, I understand.
Right.
People want to be heard. People want empathy because we did something that annoyed them. And they want to make sure you understand, right? You want to make sure I understand your problem and I sympathize with you. And then what you just said. And now I have to
Right.
do simple 3 steps. Chris likes to go over because he's like me. I love to turn people around. They become my lifetime guests. Bad situations for me and Chris, they're opportunities for the future, right, Chris? You know, they're going to be our people. You know, if you know how to handle a bad situation right, they're the best customers you'll ever have. My thing, and everybody has their own, Chris has his own. My thing is, I'm not only going to fix this situation, but now I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you my card, and I'm going to be your valet or your concierge in Las Vegas for anything you need. You can't get into a restaurant, call me, I'll get you in. I can't tell you how many reservations I make for people at other restaurants outside of ours. I've been doing this in my one company for 26 years. There's hundreds of people with my telephone number that call me whenever they want to go somewhere because they always say Richard makes the best reservations, and it's not just in our restaurants, right? So, but that, yeah, it's important. If a guest is really over the top, you get Chris, you get me, get Chris first. You know, we're more than happy. Denise is good at it. You know, Denise was a GM of our restaurant in Wine Country for a few years, and you know, she grew up in the restaurant business. She's very good at it. And you guys, look, if you're not good at it, you get good at it. You know, because there are opportunities there. You know, always look for the opportunity there. Not going to talk too much about upselling and selling things because Chris is going to. He's got an hour a day when we were in person practicing, and he's going to address, you know, how to upsell correctly. And the example I always use is a bottle of wine. Chris is better at this, but you know, if you feel a person out through the conversation, you can figure out what they're normally spending on a bottle of wine. You don't want to take $100 guy like me and bring me the $400 bottle and convince me to buy it. Because when I get my check, it's going to be hard to swallow, and I'm probably not going to come back. But you can elevate me to maybe a $130 bottle, right? Something like that. That's upselling. Gouging would be the first scenario. Don't gouge me. I might do it, but I'm not going to be happy. You know, my cousin John, my partner in this venture, is a big wine guy. You know, he's one of the dream wine customers, but he has a comfort zone. You know, he's probably a $300 to $500 bottle guy normally. You can easily talk John into $1,000 bottle of wine. He won't be happy when he gets his check. He'll be like, wasn't that good. He's not coming back, right? So, but you know, if you know he's looking at $300 bottles and you sold John a $350 or $400 bottle, yeah, he'll be fine when he gets the check. He doesn't care. But you can't take people away from their comfort zones, especially in the steakhouse business. Steakhouse business is very straightforward customers, very straightforward. That's why they're at a steakhouse. They don't want a composed plate. They don't want the chef telling them that you know they should have a bed of spinach under their salmon and a side of rice beetroot or whatever it is. They know what they want. Steakhouse customers know what they want. Comes to wine, they want brand recognition. That's why we went to Caymus and working with Charlie Wagner and Rick Kaufman and people that can bring the best brand recognition wines on the market to us. And yeah, we'll have some treasures. And Chris was talking to Charlie about, maybe them digging out some wines that aren't available to anybody else and putting them on our list. But it's still Caymus. They're still going to recognize the brand. And then they'll be more impressed because they recognize the brand and they can have something that other people can't have. Right? That's going to impress the heck out of it. So, Chris will get very, very into selling and how to sell and upselling. The telephone is the next topic. If you have not been trained on telephone etiquette, you should not touch a telephone. There is only one telephone in the entire restaurant. It is at the front desk. It will be a wireless phone. There is a main line, 3 rollover lines, and that's it. There's no reason for anyone to call a restaurant besides a customer. That's my opinion. Once we're in service, we're a dinner-only restaurant. It would be different if we were breakfast, lunch, and dinner or something. People call for all different reasons. Once we're in service, our vendors are gone or whatever. Cell phones, no use of cell phones while you're working. I'm not going to tell you got to lock it in your locker. I don't mind if it's in your pocket. It better be, silenced. And, we just don't talk in the restaurant on cell phones. Getting a wireless phone because in case of emergency, a customer emergency, something, we'll be able to walk over with someone with a phone. People don't call for reservations much anymore, right? Everything's online now. So there's not a big demand. But phone etiquette's pretty simple. I want everybody that's in the front of the house to read it in case they have to pick up a phone. You need to identify yourself when you answer your phone, proper customer service. Hi, thank you for calling Mae Daly's. This is Richard. How may I help you? Once that person identifies themselves, hi, this is Mr. Smith. I will be addressing Mr. Smith by name all the way through the call. If there's a customer walks in while I'm handling a customer on the phone, the customer present in front of me, protocol says I need to handle the person that's live in front of me first. If I have to put Mr. Smith on hold, I will ask him to do that and wait for his response. I will not say, please hold, click. Mr. Smith, would you mind if I put you on a brief hold? I'll wait for his response and go, thank you, and put him on hold. When I pick him back up, I will say, thank you so much for holding, Mr. Smith. How can I help you? I said Mr. Smith 3 times already. I can't say it enough. Customers like to hear their names. So please read the telephone etiquette on the site. It even gives some script and things. Everybody needs to know how the phone works because there's going to be 4 lines on that one phone, right? So you might have people backed up.
Richard, one thing too, talking about cell phones, that applies to the new watches people wear.
Good point, yeah.
They're texting, they're talking into their watch. It's, the same use, the customers pick up on that.
That's a good point. I didn't think of that, but yeah. There's a lot of things you see in restaurants today that are truly, by staff members, that are so not acceptable. Personal conversations on the floor, leaning against walls. I could go on for hours, but that's what training is about, right? And I always say, I don't care if you're at TGI Fridays or Bouchon's or the French Laundry. Customer service is customer service. It doesn't take any more energy to do it right than it does to do it wrong. So why not do it right? It'll stand out in this day and age. You should shine so easily because I'm almost to the point where I can't go out to eat because everything drives me crazy, and the lack of training and the lack of pride and passion that I see in so many places, especially in Las Vegas now. I mean, I was with the first wave. Chris was fortunate. He was already here working with Andre Rashad, one of the greatest chefs that the city's ever had. Most of the people here weren't. It was showrooms and, it wasn't, they referred in the rest of the country to Las Vegas as the culinary desert, and when we came, we followed Chris and Andre and these people, and there were very few. There was like 2 restaurants like that in the whole city, right? So I was fortunate to come when it was wide open for growth. And Chris and Andre, they were the first 2 people I met here, so I fell right into good company, and it just became home really quick. So, we need to shine, and it's not going to be hard. As long as we do the basic solid customer service and hospitality principles that is so missing. Unfortunately, in Las Vegas, 2 companies control 85% of the strip now. I say we're drowning in mediocrity. When I got here, competition was high. There's no more competition. When you take away competition, it's by design. And when you take away competition, people don't strive. I've turned down 3 casino deals in the last year and a half. I refuse to go back into the casinos. That's why we're in a standalone business, a standalone building on the strip. Chris and I keep discussing it. Now we have the opportunity to write our own book. Even though you can own your own restaurant in the casinos, you're still bending to everyone constantly. There's nothing wrong with it. There's a lot of money in doing that. It's not me. I don't think it's Chris. I don't think it's Tomas. I don't think it's any of our management staff. We want to go back to excelling. We want to go back to writing our own book, and that's what we're doing. And you guys help us write that book. Okay, let's take a 5-minute break. We're doing really good on time. 6:30, an hour and 20. We should finish a little early today. We only have one more page to go through, but it's 7:50, 7:55. All right, we'll take a 5-minute stretch and do the next page, and that's it for tonight stuff. And then at the end, if you have things you want to ask about or talk about, I appreciate that we're moving quickly through it. So when people watch this video, they're going from topic to topic. But at the end, we don't have to worry. We can talk and answer questions and review any portions you guys want to talk about. Okay? So 5 minutes. And please, everybody, go on mute. Let's not chat because this is going to be a training video. So I don't want the personal conversations to get recorded. I can't stop the camera now. So we'll be silent for 5 minutes. Okay, guys? We'll get a drink, whatever you got to do. Guys, what are you seeing on your screen?
Great customer service, hospitality.
Hospitality.
Okay, still got the proper screen up. Okay, I'm just making sure, Thomas. All right, guys, we back. You guys let me know when to start. Okay. So where we've been so far, we talked about us as people at work. We talked about giving service and hospitality and what that means. And this last portion for today is called guest engagement. All of these things, like, listen, this is the second time today I'm doing this, right? So you guys are sitting through one training session. I'm doing it twice a day to accommodate everybody else because I think I'm good at hospitality. I'm thinking about your life and I'm giving people options, right? The reason we're doing all this is we want to build a new company culture. It's a brand new company. So the only way we're going to do that is that we all have to kind of understand the foundations of what we're thinking from the branding company level down into the operational levels that we're working at, right? So now this next section is kind of helping us understand, like I said, our company culture is one word, kindness, right? Kindness to each other, kindness to our guests, kindness in life. So this next topic is also a very big part, very important to me personally. Every company I've ever been in, the first sentence kind of sums up my feelings about business and companies. In business, we owe a debt to the community that we make our money in. Not just me, you too. People of quality, people have a sense of place in their community. I believe that. You can do whatever you want in life. I am never going to tell you what to do in life. I will tell you as a friend, uplifting other people is the greatest thing you can do in the world. You will feel wonderful in life. RM, it's just like sports, right? You coach, you lead, you're a captain, your team wins, you feel great. Feel great because you won? No, you feel great because you helped everybody win, right? That's the whole adrenaline rush of sports. It's the fans, it's the co-players. It's not just me, right? That's a great rush, right?
Great.
Great rush. And it's the same, life is the same as sports to me. And I'm not a sports guy, but I understand it. I grew up playing sports. I was serious when I played. But I don't see a difference in life. I still get my kicks in life, always involves other people. Self-indulgence doesn't do it for me. It's just not a high for me. Charlotte Perkins Gilman, I couldn't remember her third name yesterday, is the philosopher or writer that I was talking about. She was an American feminist, socialist, novelist, writer of short stories, poetry, fiction, lectures, very into social reform. Everything she did was to uplift. Everything she wrote about was to uplift people. I find this woman very inspiring in my life. The quote that hit me the most from her was the first duty of a human being is to assume the right functional relationship to society. More briefly, find your real job and do it. That's me. I like to see our company culture embrace that thought. I really don't believe you should do business in a society. Reno, Nevada, Boys and Girls Club, that's our charity. New York City, City Meals on Wheels, huge, huge in that charity. You name the city, I'll tell you what we do. I don't pick them. My staff picks it. But they all adopt the charity. It's not about money. I run a charity. I help many charities. We appreciate the doers more than the check writers, right? It's when people show up. We just did a thing called the A Games. Handicap, mostly children, young adults, handicapped people. competing in extreme sports. 1,500 people in attendance. We couldn't get enough volunteers. We raised the money, but it was a hard day. It was a hard day, right? We loved the volunteers. Our friend Brooklyn just started a foundation called the Great American Volunteer Group, because so many charities have so much problem getting people to volunteer and help at events and things. Brooklyn's new organization is just about people that want to get involved in their community and help people. So we'll figure out what to do. But I will tell you, in Las Vegas, my charity is autism. I help children and young adults with autism. Our facility will be a vocational training center for young adults on the autism spectrum. That's the charity we embrace. I can help other charities if staff members have other charities and you want us to do things for them. Yes, we can get involved. But we will be a philanthropic company. We will be part of our community. It's a must. It's who we have to be. And in life, to me, that's, I don't know if it's just me, but that's how I get my kicks. That's my high. That's my touchdown, Laurie. It's a great feeling. So, that's a big part of who we want to be as a company. Who you want to be as an individual is your choice in life. But as a company, that's who we're going to be. Okay? And that's customer expectations.
To exceed them.
To exceed them. Right? So every economic downturn in any country's history winds up with psychological after effects. I use my parents for an example. Hardworking people. My mother always worked. My father always had 2 jobs. They lived like they were broke, even though they weren't. They weren't rich. They weren't broke. And it used to drive me crazy. And I would ask them, like, why didn't you buy this? Or why don't you get something new? Or why don't you get a new car? And my mother always told me the same thing. We were depression babies. We don't do that. They grew up in the worst economic crisis our country ever saw. They went without food. My father slept with a hot brick in his bed wrapped in a towel for heat when he was a little boy. They understood that things can change in a second, right? Wall Street, banks all collapsed in a day. No one had any money. People were jumping out of buildings, killing themselves over money. They lived through that. They grew up in that. They lived to their 90s. They never shook the after effects of that economic recession. They're called depression babies because it was the biggest economic downturn in our country's history. It had the largest psychological effect on people, lifelong. It never went away. We just came out from 2008 to 2018, which they're calling the Great Recession. It wasn't a depression, but it was a very long, hard recession. We get one every 10 to 20 years. Economies are cyclical. They go up and down, always. It's inevitable. I don't know if it's designed that way on purpose by big business. I'm not quite sure. But it happens constantly. Can't buy a house right now. Interest rates are too hard. During COVID, I refinanced my house at 3%. So it's all a cycle, right? The last recession left a psychological imprint on people. It left the 2 main factors. This isn't my thoughts. This is what much better minds than me. Consumers, after the last recession, need 2 things. 2 things. They need to feel that they made the right decision with their purchasing dollar, and the person they decided to spend it with they need to know that you appreciated that they spent their money with you. They need to feel that walking out of Mae Daly's. The higher you go in the economic scale of dining, the harder and harder it is to have a value statement. I can go to McDonald's and get 2 Egg McMuffins for $3 certain times of the year, right? That's an easy value statement. I'll get me some Egg McMuffins, 2 for $3. I'm there every day, right? Easy value statement. Low down on the economic scale. As you start spending more money on things, it gets harder and harder to see the value statement. Is a steak really worth $100? Hell no, I don't care what steak it is. It's not worth $100. I go to Sam's Club, I buy myself a full tenderloin, I get 14 to 16 prime cut filet mignons out of that tenderloin. I spend about $170. Spend about $10 on a prime filet mignon for my house. $10 for a steak. If I go eat it at Delmonico's or any fine restaurant, I'm spending $60 to $80 for that same steak. Sometimes it's not even prime, right? So how do I give a value statement to a customer that's paying $100 for a piece of meat? Vanessa?
The experience that
Right. We're selling an experience. In the real estate market, you can't sell high-rise real estate. The game in high-rise real estate is selling a lifestyle. You don't sell the apartment, you sell the lifestyle. Turnberry Place in Las Vegas. Jeffrey Soper, who owns Fountain Blue now, the new Fountain Blue, he built that place. Not just, he sold $750 million in apartments. Were those apartments worth $750 million? No. But he spent $52 million building a very high-end club. He didn't sell them the apartment. He sold them the lifestyle at the club. He sold them a way of living that was easy for people that had money. And they didn't have to cook because we'd bring food into your house. And, it was just, I go downstairs, I play tennis. I can go downstairs to the champagne party around the pool. I don't have to leave my home to do all these things, right? You sell a lifestyle. There's a value statement in that. Is a 2,000 square foot apartment worth $1 million in Las Vegas? Hell no. But he got it all day long. He pre-sold every tower before it was even built. But they bought the lifestyle. Luxury products are more than Thomas is going to make incredible food. But even Thomas will know that his steak alone on a plate is not worth $100 if he paid $30 for the meat that he put on the plate. It's just not, right? But you're buying your personality. You're buying all those little cool things. We're buying the Instagram moments. We're buying the smiles and the laughs. We're buying the great service. We're buying the nice feeling flatware. My old boss, Buzzy, he used to say there's at least 1,000 factors in a dining experience. If you want to be successful, you better learn how to figure out 1,001 of these factors. You got to go over the edge, past 1,000. So we have to work very hard in a luxury product to get a value statement. And we do that by exceeding customer expectations. That's when we hit a value statement. I went to a steakhouse and knew I was going to spend $150 a person plus tax and tip. I knew that going in. And if you gave me an okay steak and an okay experience, that was great, but I ain't coming back. If you blew me out of my shoes, I go, I made a good decision. Now I'm proud of myself, and you thanked me properly for coming. They appreciate me. I made the right decision. A value statement. And that's what we have to do. And it's not easy, but we can do it. Made my living doing it.
Richard, one time a customer told me they dined with us. I forgot what restaurant it was. And they spent about $175 a person. And at the end of it, they said they would have spent $250 a person, and it would have been worth it to come back and tell all their friends again. And, that's sort of that over delivering aspect of it. It was like they would have spent twice as much to enjoy the same thing.
Probably 15 years ago, we were in business in Los Angeles for about 6 years. And there was a restaurant called Table 8 at the time. It was the #1 restaurant in LA. It took months to get a reservation. Charlie and I decided to take a bunch of the guys there for dinner. I think there was 10 of us. So we planned it months ahead. We got in, and it wasn't very expensive. But the food wasn't bad. It wasn't anything to write home about. I couldn't figure out why this was the #1 restaurant in LA at the time. And then I saw it. There's this young chef at the end of the night, at front door. He owned the restaurant. He personally thanked every person, shook their hand, talked about their experience. The kid finished flawlessly. Everybody loved this chef. That's why he was the #1 restaurant. His food was good, but it wasn't good to say in a major city like LA, this is the best food in LA. Not by far. He was the best chef at hospitality in LA by far at that time. And that's why he was number one. So there's different factors, you know. This chef in the dining room thing for me, it's not something I thought of myself. It's come from many years of watching how chefs are the rock stars of the dining industry. They are. We had the going away dinner for Andre Richard this year. I'm in a room full of other chefs. And I'm trying to, and they're well-known chefs. Most of the guys in that room are big players in town. And I'm trying to explain to these guys, it's like, you got to get your butts out of the kitchen. The customer wants you guys. They don't want me. They want you. You know, and so many of these guys just hide in the kitchen. It's crazy. So that's why we decided to put our chefs in the dining room. You know, they don't have a choice. They're going to meet all our customers. I learned something from that kid in LA. You know, it's important. So the next thing we're going to talk about is promotions. There are times we will do promotions. I don't do many of them. This is definitely not a big dining room. But there are going to be things like Restaurant Week. We're probably going to participate. And we're not going to, you guys are going to make money, but I'm not going to make a dime that week. I'm going to break even if I do Restaurant Week. Because if they're paying $50-something for the plate, odds are I'm going to give them $50-something at cost. My cost of goods will go to 100% on Restaurant Week. I don't care. But I will guarantee you, one, we'll do more Restaurant Week covers that, you know, for capacity of seats than anything else. And two, we will turn more of the people that come in from Restaurant Week to long-term customers than anything else. You do a promotion, it's not just about filling seats to me. But when the price goes down on a promotional thing, there are service people that, what the hell, they're all cheap people coming in. Why are you bringing them in here for? They're on. Listen, I went to Honey and Salt last year for Restaurant Week with my friend Elise. I really liked it. I went back in December and threw my son's birthday party there with 18 people. That's Restaurant Week done right. Elizabeth Flower and her husband own that restaurant. Elizabeth knows what she's doing. They had a great Restaurant Week menu. I was so impressed by it. The next time I took my family and friends out for something large, where to go? Honey and Salt. Now I'm dropping $3,000 on brunch, not $48 on a Restaurant Week menu. That's a promotion done right. You know, and that's what we'll do. But we need the staff to buy in. If I do a promotion, trust me, it's for all our good for the future. You may make $100 less this week. Big deal. It'll keep you making more and more money in the future, and that's the goal. So please, if we do a promotion, I don't do happy hour. I don't, you know, we do a secret menu for locals. There's always a bargain for a local. I don't discount tourists. Pay full price for everything. My promotions are we're in and out burger of the luxury world. People are on the know, but we have to show our locals appreciation. They're here every day of the year, not just 155 convention days. Right? They're the ones that are going to pay our bills every day in our house. We need to appreciate. I talked a little about trends yesterday. We need to learn how to be trendsetters and not trend followers. A couple of examples I gave. Chris knows this well. You know, the whole wine industry has turned to using white wine glasses instead of champagne glasses for bubblies. I can't do it. I can't do it. It's the trend. I don't care. I'm using champagne glass for sure. I can't do it. It's not right. I don't care what the trend is. Sometimes trends aren't right. I talked about caviar, adding dollops of caviar in places that don't belong. And I had an argument with one of my chefs about it because all the other chefs are doing it. And I felt like my parents when I was a little kid. If your friends are going to jump off the Brooklyn Bridge, are you going to jump with them? You know, it's like just because everybody does something doesn't make it right. We have to be better than our competitors. So to me, trends are following trends are important for diet, diet restrictions. Listen, I had a food cost problem in 1997 at Oriel, our original restaurant in New York City. We couldn't figure it out. It's an 80-seat restaurant. We went up about a point and a half in food. Richie Lapuzzo was the executive sous. Him and myself, we tore through every invoice. We could not figure out how. The only thing we saw was butter went up really large. The price of butter, for some reason, almost doubled. I forgot why. So I asked Richie, I was like, how much butter can we actually use? Could that be what's driving our food cost? We were using 250 pounds of butter a day in an 80-seat restaurant. Everything we made was cooked in clarified butter. Everything that was on the range was on clarified butter. We sauteed everything. The price of butter doubled. It raised our food costs accordingly. Today, if we owned that restaurant, we might use 30 or 40 pounds of butter a day. Because the world changed, right? And that's a trend. How people eat is a trend, right? So certain trends are important. People got healthier. We had to figure out how to make food healthier. That's a good trend. People doing something dumb with glassware or something dumb with other things. It's like I don't think that's a trend I want to follow. So we have to pick and choose what trends we follow, and then we have to try. Listen, our service style. Nobody's done this service style. It took me 4 months to get the Board of Health to approve that chef stage in the dining room. She's like, "What the heck is this?" I didn't know what to do. We have a hand sink in the dining room. It'll be hidden behind the banquette, but where's a hand sink in the dining room? I had to give in to things to the health department to make this system work. That's it. If it works, that's going to be the first trend we set. Because trust me, people will follow. We built a 4-story wine rack at Mandalay Bay. Next thing we know, there's one in Tokyo, there's one in Chicago. There's wine racks like it all over the world. That's setting a trend, right? There's certain things you follow, certain things you don't. And we'll decide as a group what they are. But we're using champagne glasses, Chris. Catering and special events, I'm not going to get into it. The largest table in the restaurant is an 8-top. There's only one of them. It's 3 6-tops, and the rest of the table are reduced. We are not the convention restaurant where there's parties of 20 everywhere and 30 in the dining room. We will be a consistent, what I call real restaurant. We are not a catering hall in disguise. The only private dining room we have seats 2 people. That's it. That's our private dining area. We will do catering, but it'll be outdoors in the pool area. We'll be adding a gate so access from the restaurant into the pool area. We'll serve cocktail parties in there. That menu will be coming off those grills, and salad, like a salad bar with fresh steaks and everything being done on the grill. It'll be made for an outdoor menu. It won't interfere with our restaurant. It'll have its own production out there. So you're not going to go to dinner with your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your significant other, or anybody for a nice evening and sit next to 20 conventioners getting drunk yelling at each other. It's not going to happen in our restaurant. You can't do it if we want to do it. And I don't want to. But he's probably the most famous restaurateur in New York City. All of his restaurants, the largest table is 6 people. He owns catering facilities. He'll do parties in his catering facilities. Never in a restaurant. With a large table, he feels ruins the experience for everybody else in the restaurant. So we're gonna be different. We're gonna be very different. I could have got a bigger space. We could do the parties at 20s and conventions, but this is going to be our icon. This is what we're going to build a new brand on. It's got to be the best for that. All tables are very important. Social media. I spend $20,000 a month on social media and our other company. It brings us almost no business. Our clients aren't on social media. We'll let our clients, our guests, do our social media. That's why we bought the 1931 Ford pickup and things like that. And Mr. B, there's Instagrammable moments in the restaurant. Our guests need to do our social media work for us. I ask our employees not to do social media. If we want food to go out, Chef Tomas will send the food out on social media. We don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't think we're equipped for it. We can't, our guests are great. I will touch on this for a second, but there's a thing called the hidden job market. Vanessa's here because she's a referral. I know someone in her family. That's how I know her. Olivia, her mother is a dear friend of mine. She got referred. Melissa, a friend of Vanessa's, she was referred. Melissa brought somebody else in from, is it Ori, right? You were referred. You guys are what's called the hidden job market. That's the best hire. Believe it or not, in the United States, it represents 80% of the hiring. So when you see, like we're on Indeed, we got, I don't know, 1,200 applications. We hired more referrals than the 1,200 applications to Indeed or whatever it was. All I know is Denise yelled and screamed one day at me, 400 resumes just came. Yeah. So always keep that in mind. If you have a friend, a family member, somebody that needs a job, you think they would fit into our team, please refer them. It's always our best. They're always our best. I'm not saying I never got anybody off Indeed that was good or whatever, but for consistent, constant hiring, it's the hidden job market that pays off. It's the person you guys know that we can add to the team. I mean, maybe Melissa, I know she didn't work out, but maybe the next one will work out. I'm kidding, Melissa. It is. I mean, we just have it's not just us. Everybody has a very high success rate when you hire through referrals. So please always keep that in mind. Online feedback. So, one of the things I've always done, I always wore two caps in the hospitality world, whether it's our hotel companies or our restaurant companies. But I went and did the whole CPA thing in life because I just saw I lost my first company in 1989. Owned the company, it was called Richard Feminella Enterprises. I owned a rock club. I had a 700-seat restaurant in New York City. I had a couple of pubs. 29 years old, 24 to 29, I was God to my friends. We lived at the Plaza in New York on the weekends. I spent every penny we made. 1989, the end of Reaganomics. Everything that brought us all the money took it all away. My first major recession. It was like getting hit by a truck. I couldn't understand it. I could make people happy. I just went broke and lost my company. As a kid, I didn't know anything about business. Self-evaluation. This is never going to happen to me again. 5 years at the University of Bernard Baruch in New York, where top business people, passed the CPA exam. Recessions never bothered me again. It would never happen to me again in my life. It's not going to happen. Every time we have an economic downturn, I've grown the company. I know what I'm doing now. That economy is buying season. It's not curl up in a ball and die season. So online feedback through good and bad times, I have seen why people complain and why they broadcast it. Unfortunately, people like me very rarely go online and write great things about people. But I'm very well known for my rants on social media when a business pisses me off. I would go through your jugular on social media. I told you yesterday, I'm the worst customer. You don't want me. I don't complain. I never come back, or I'll rant on social media. Terrible herps company. They just hit my no-fly zone. Sorry. It wasn't one bad experience. It wasn't two. It wasn't three. It wasn't four. It's probably been 2 dozen I'm done. I don't like to bash people's businesses, but they really don't care about their customers. Talking about a gas station, right? But they really don't care about their customers. It's crazy. So online feedback's important. Positive online feedback. I travel a lot. I go out to eat a lot. Google, Yelp. That's how I find where I'm eating. I haven't written a thing by a food writer or a food critic in at least a decade or more. care less. I go on Yelp and there's 3,000 reviews and you got 4.9 stars out of 5. 5,000 people wrote this Yelp reviews. It's a good place to eat. Trust me, you're not going to go wrong because you only have so many friends and family that can write good reviews. When I see 5,000 reviews and they're that high, I got enough referrals. This is a good place to eat. It never fails me. Google and Yelp never failed me. My wife had an accident in the house. She crushed her hip, broke her leg. I got to the emergency room. They wanted to do emergency service on her. I said, well, give me the name of your resident surgeon. I pulled out my phone and I yelped him. They were going to bring him in. He was on call. I said, tell him to stay home. They went, why? He's got 3 stars on Yelp. He's not operating on my life. They went, you just yelped our surgeon? I said, absolutely. People rate everybody now. I'm not letting a 3-star Yelp reviewed surgeon operate on my license. I made phone calls. We waited 2 days. We got a top-notch surgeon. She works fine now. I'm pretty sure if I get a 3-star Yelp surgeon, she would have leaned one way or the other a little. But she doesn't even know she has to take it. Because we did a great surgeon. So the things that people rant bad about or will praise you about, there's some commonality in it. Attentiveness. You have to keep your eyes on your customers. You have to, anticipate their needs. Number one problem. Number one praise you get. It's the same thing. Number one complaint is always the number one praise. And it goes down the line. Your attitude. You're a great positive person. Melissa, you talked about you love when customers come back, right? And see you again, right? Because you bring that positivity to your job and to your guests. They notice that. They also notice your coworker that didn't do it even more, right? So we want to be Melissa. We don't want to be Aria. I'm only kidding. I'm kidding.
No, that's wrong.
I promised I wouldn't just pick on Vanessa anymore. The other major problem that I've addressed, and this is so major that I can't even count how many times I had to go on a plane and see for myself at one of our restaurants. Slow food. 90% of the time, slow food complaints had nothing to do with the kitchen. Everybody loves to pick on the kitchen. 90% of the time, slow food comes from the servers. They never put the order in the kitchen. They might have even taken the order, forgot to put it in the POS. It never showed up at the kitchen. I know how to prevent that. I'm not going to get into it now. We'll do it in training. But there's not just one printer on the expo line. There's 2. The chef will know when that table was set. He will know if you didn't get the order in. And the third way I'm going to protect that is everything's handheld. We are going to train you. As they talk to you, you're already putting the order in the system. When you walk away from the table, please order. Some of you have probably worked with POSs like that. None of our restaurants have them. This is a first for me. It's all on Chris. If it doesn't work, it was totally Chris's fault. That's all I can say. It's going to work. But you'll see in the next 2 weeks of training, the 3rd hour is just practicing on the POS. All we're going to do. It's going to become second nature before we. You got to be able to talk and be putting the orders in at the same time, so you can't spend time looking. Where's that screen? Where's the screen? Where's that item? Right? But that's all coming to train. So those are the biggest things we need to get it. Customer service expectations is on the rise. Are you keeping up? We talked about the different types, 2 different types of customers. But there's other factors that are leading to that. You go to Starbucks, they want a tip. We went out for lunch the other day, got chicken sandwiches. Would you like to tip 18, 20, or 22%? I'm in a fast food restaurant. I ain't tipping you crap for taking my order. I'm sorry. I tip for service. I don't tip people to do their job. Everywhere we go, we're seeing tips show up more and more. I swear to God, my prediction is by the end of the year, it is going to be at the supermarkets. Would you like to leave a tip on the self-checkout? Our culture has got crazy. But Because of that, right? Tipping is for the extra service, the customer service that you guys provide, that experience orients on you guys. But because so many industries now are thinking of trying to take advantage, well, I can pay my guests, my employees less if they get tips, right? That's what's happening. Well, because people are buying into this and they're tipping everybody, and their expectations are rising. Well, if I'm paying for extra service, I better get better service, right? I apologize to every place that doesn't deserve a tip. I tell them, boy, I said, I'm really sorry, but I'm a very cheap person. I am not leaving the girl in Starbucks a tip for punching my finger into the register. That's not worth a tip to me. I may tip 25, 30% at a restaurant to a server that gave me incredible service. That's worth it to me. You give me personal, so you give me your personal time, your personal service, you spent your time at work on me. You earned that tip, right? But I don't believe everybody earns a tip. So somebody's got to just have a job. Customers are less forgiving today. You know, we talked about the 2 after effects of the last recession, which is still pretty fresh in people's minds. So you have less chances. You know, my statistic of the 24 or 26% of one-time error people, it's probably growing. That statistic is pre-COVID. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's growing 30%. People are less and less forgiving when it comes to spending their money and not feeling obliged. The online review world matters more and more and more every day. Our generic business card for the restaurant, the back of the card will have a QR code. If you hit it with your phone, it'll bring you right to Yelp, to our page in Yelp. There's a place for you guys to put your name. If you get a 5-star review with your name on it, you get 10 bucks. You get 10 of those a week, you instantly give yourself a $5,000 year raise. And spending, I'm sorry, it's our check here. I'll have to call him back. I'll call you back. So if you can do that 10 times a week, you just gave yourself a $5,000 year raise. There's car payments for you, right? I'm starting at $10. If it gets totally out of hand, we're going to 5. I got a feeling you guys might take me from. But that's where I'm spending a big portion of my marketing dollars. I would rather give the money to you than to an SEO company or an online branding company that doesn't put anybody in our restaurant. Because that's what I find. I don't find our customer base is 40 to 60. Those are our prime, that's people's prime earning years. That's who's going to show up at very high-end restaurants and can still actually drink a bottle of wine. You know, I barely spend any money in restaurants on liquor anymore. I used to spend a lot. You know, once you pass 60, you just naturally try to start taking better care of yourself. You know, that finish line's getting closer. You try to push forward. So, you know, it's but you guys are the best marketers I can have. You guys will be the best brand ambassadors we can. I'd rather give you the money than companies that don't produce it. I spend a lot of money on Open Table, and I spend a lot of money on this. That's my marketing. We have other marketing plans in place, and they're pretty powerful. I'll just wait until we go, but Mae Daly's will be everywhere in Las Vegas, in every single hotel room in Las Vegas. I'll share that at another time. Consumers share good and bad, so that we just can't give them a reason to have bad. Some customers are just nasty. I'm not going to name the chef, but we had a very famous chef come into the Four Seasons here in Las Vegas, eat in our restaurant. His wife totally demolished a big ribeye steak. I don't even think she left the gristle. She went online publicly the next day and bashed our restaurant. Our response was, Charlie wrote it beautifully, and it was a crime with no evidence. Because there wasn't an ounce of food left on this woman's plate that she said was so horrible. He really did a good job responding. We don't always have to respond nicely to it. Some complaints are not founded, but I'll deal with that. And Chris and I know how to deal with that. Your guys' job is to get those 5 stars. That's our marketing. And consistency, I used this morning example. 6 years of my life, I ate every day in the same restaurant. Was it the best restaurant I could go to? No. Most consistent. They knew myself and my chef. We had an hour and a half every night. We had 3 businesses to close from midnight to 1:30. That was our dinner break. We went in the same restaurant every night. We never had to order a drink. We never had to look at a menu. We tell them what we want to eat. It was on the menu. It wasn't on the menu. They made it for us. It was our home, and they were consistent. And that's all it took for us because we had a limited amount of time. We couldn't think about where we wanted to eat tonight. We needed good, solid meals. We needed people that knew how to make us happy, make us feel special, and could do it every night of the week because we went there 7 nights a week. Best customers you could get, right? Loyal as loyal could be. Why? Consistency. Chris talks about McDonald's. It's a great brand. Whether you like McDonald's or not, whether it's healthy or not, it's a great brand. I went to China on business with Charlie Palmer. By day 3, I never wanted to see another noodle in my life. They took me to noodle shop after noodle shop after noodle shop. I was dying. I saw McDonald's Golden Arches. It was like, oh, I ran across the street in there and got myself a cheeseburger and a Big Mac. You know, and I was amazed. It tasted just like the McDonald's up the block from there. It's halfway around the world. That's consistency. That's brand recognition, and they delivered. I love me a Big Mac attack every once in a while. I never go. I don't eat McDonald's more than once a month. And if it was healthy, I'd eat it every day. I love it. You know? I like junk food. You know, I do. I like fancy food. I like junk food. I like food. But you know, there's nothing wrong with McDonald's. There's nothing wrong with any of these brands. Just don't eat it constantly. You don't live long. My wife's kid brother died of fast food. He really did. He had some challenges in life, and he ate very poorly and died very young. But he lived in fast food restaurants, and he only made it to his early 50s. This stuff is bad. I like the way it tastes. You know. So that's the end of all the topics. We'll open up the floor now. It's only a little over 2 hours. But does anybody have anything that we've gone through that they would like to add to? How can we make these training sessions better? I don't particularly like this format so much because that's just familiar there, Denise. Where are you? Denise is in the next room. That's all right. But I don't know how else to get through the basics of our culture or philosophy that we're trying to do other than take you through this website. I promise you after the next, what do we got, 3 days left or 2 days? We got Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We have 3 days left. I promise you after that, it will be much more engaging training. Everybody will participate a lot more. But if you have suggestions for me on how to, you know, I have to imagine that parts of this you have to try to pay attention. Because it's long for one person. But I don't know how else to do it. And I can't just say, please read the website. I'd love to, because then I wouldn't have to pay you. You'd have to do the website. But it's truthful. I mean, this costs me time and money, right? So I obviously believe in it. But I don't know how else to do it. But if you guys have a better idea of it, you know, I'm open to it. But the one thing I know is if we don't talk about all these small little subjects, we're not going to have the foundation to go into the restaurant and train correctly. We all have to come in with the same mindset. We can change things. We're open to change everything. But we have to set that mindset or those basic principles in place, and that's why we're doing this. Makes sense? Or Vanessa, she's been through it already. She did it this morning and she did it tonight. Vanessa will be through this 3 times with me, Denise, by the end. The 3 of us are going to do this hopefully 3 times. And trust me, I don't want to do it 3 times. I don't even want to do it once. So it's not because I like to hear myself talk, because I hate to rest. I just really feel strongly that we have to have these these beginning basics, like the first page says, these are things that people that work in restaurants should know. It's simple, and we're kind of past. These early pages are a lot of almost like self-help, but we want to set a bar for each other, right? We want to say we're this. This is our team, right? We're going to play to a certain level. We're going to play to a certain standard that we're setting for ourselves. This is a brand new company. We don't have any history to build on. We have to make history now, right? And that's what this is about. And I'm laying down just foundational thoughts, principles. But now after this stuff is done, we have to go in the restaurant, put it into play, mold it, fix it, change it, right? And build this culture. So, and any input is helpful. If I bored the hell out of you, tell me. I can only learn, but I'm doing the best I can. But I'm open to change how I do it as well, except from Vanessa. I'm relentless.
Nice.
Vanessa's had more input than anybody, so I can say. So what's coming next? So we finished restaurants, you, the person, service, and guest engagement. Tomorrow. We'll start getting into the meat and potatoes. We start talking about food knowledge and what you can expect to learn from Chef Tomas and the rest of us. We'll talk about beverage knowledge and what you can expect from Chris. Chris and Jason and Craig and Tommy and Spirits. We'll take us through that in training. Everybody needs to taste every piece of food that we're going to serve. Tomas is going to feed you every piece of the menu. You're going to be able. I hate when people don't feed the staff. How can I expect you to sell his great food if you don't know what it tastes? The difference is, what do you suggest? Everything's good at our restaurant. Bullshit. You're going to have favorites, but how are you going to have favorites if you haven't eaten everything? Right? But if you had the lobster thermidor and it blew you out of your shoes, you're going to go, I love the lobster thermidor. You're going to sell that item. When you love, what you're going to sell people, naturally. But if you don't eat and you just tell me everything's good on our menu, I know you don't know your menu. You just use the textbook answer for people that don't know the food. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm going to make you all fat. Everybody's going to get fat in the next 3 weeks. Eat a lot. We'll be tasting wines, and Chris will tell you, he'll be teaching you how to explain wines to people, how to suggest what wines they sell. My stick with people, people say, I don't like wine. I said, no, you just never drank the wine you like. And then I ask them about the foods they eat and everything, and I try to figure out their flavor profiles. And then I'll pick a wine that matches that. Like, oh my God, this is so good. Like, there's a wine for everybody. I really believe that. I mean, am I wrong, Chris? I'm a firm believer that there is a wine that everyone will love. You just haven't drank the wine you like. I love champagne. My wife hates champagne. Is she wrong? No. She just doesn't like champagne. I'll do anything for champagne. So it's, you have to learn, how to figure out a person's flavor profiles so that you can suggest correctly. So that's where value statements come in. Experience-based purchases, right? Because, Jason, sold me on this cocktail because we talked a little and he figured out my favorite profile. He goes, I want you to try this. I'll tell you, I got a feeling you're going to really love this cocktail. Because he spent a little time talking to the guests. They figured it out. And they're going to become emotionally attached to their bartender. He knows me. He knows how to make me happy. Tony, Chris is on the phone. I can't remember his name. Southern Wine and Spirits. So actually, Steve Wynn brought a guy to town in the late '90s when he opened the Bellagio, and this was before every bartender called themselves a mixologist. was like one of the few mixologists in the country. Till today, I will drink anything the man makes. When they opened the nightclub Light at the Bellagio on Sunday nights, Tony used to, for fun and to practice, he would tend bar till 9 o'clock. And I was at that nightclub every Sunday night at 6 o'clock, and I'd sit in front of him, make me a different drink every time. And, you know, I was attached to him. I used to like to drink a lot. He made the greatest cocktails I've ever tasted in my life. He's still around. He's still in the industry. But you know, that's the kind of thing we're going to get into next. We're going to get into more fun, what I think are more fun aspects of our business, eating and drinking and serving, and, you know, making people happy. That's what it's about. Not a bad way to make a living, making people happy. Anybody else? Anything? I really put you guys to sleep tonight, huh?
Real fast, I think when you're talking, everyone should mute their mic because there's like white noise coming in, and I'm not sure
I hear
where
it.
it's coming from.
Yeah, it's not Thomas. I thought it was Thomas's camera. It's not. Somebody is in. Was it you or in? You have some kind of background noise. You just went on mute. Yeah, always stay on mute, guys. So who's going to give us closing words of wisdom
I am
tonight?
mute.
Yeah, I know you're on. I said I thought it was your fan, but I know you're on mute. So it's not. Who's giving us closing words of wisdom? Somebody close this session up for us. Denise. Vanessa, Arian, Melissa. Oh, I'm sorry. I got to make sure I got everybody so you get paid for tonight. Let's see. I'm going to go through the list. Today is the 15th. Vanessa, I got to up you your 2 sessions. Olivia she's not here, or she is? She was here, isn't she? Olivia is still on?
I am here.
Okay. You get paid. Is Taylor on? Is Taylor here tonight?
I'm here.
Oh, you are Taylor. Hi. Very quiet. Taylor, since you missed yesterday, you're going to give us the closing words of wisdom when I'm done.
Oh, Taylor.
Kai is here. Katrina was this morning. Ariane is here. I can't believe I kind of know everybody's name already. Christine, are you here still?
I am. Yes.
Melissa's here. Man, everybody made training today, I think. No, everybody missed. Tommy did this morning. Yeah. Wow, good day. Tomas was here, but he's on salary. I don't have to worry about that. Okay. Chop, 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 chop. All right, Taylor, since nobody's met you yet, introduce yourself and give us your words of wisdom for the day. She hates the
Hi,
word.
I'm Taylor. Hi, Taylor. Hi.
Referral, hidden job market.
I don't know what you want me to say. Words of wisdom?
Just tell us. Yesterday, we all introduced ourselves to each other and just told everybody a little about ourselves and how we got together. If you don't mind doing that first for like 2 minutes so people know who you are.
Okay. I've lived in Vegas my whole life. This is my first time doing anything in the restaurant industry, so I'm really excited about that. I know Rich through Olivia.
And her dad, who's a gifted musician.
Yes, yes. I'm really excited to meet all you guys. I'm excited to meet everyone in person. We are too.
Yeah. Yeah, Olivia couldn't be with us yesterday because of her job, so we didn't get to give her hamburger.
Taylor.
Taylor. I always see the two of them together, so but so that's why she wasn't. So, what's your takeaway from tonight, from what we just went through? Was it positive for you? Was it negative for you? Was it boring? It's hard
No,
to do what you just did.
I thought it was good. I think it's all good information for us to learn, especially for those of us who haven't been in the hospitality industry before.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good. So it wasn't so painful?
No, not at all.
I
It
love
could definitely be worse, right?
Yeah.
Well, I always say if it's a meeting that just Richard spoke at, it wasn't a good meeting. I like more, interchange with people, but unfortunately, there's just so much base data. I hired a lot of people that haven't worked in the industry. I mean, Melissa has experience and stuff, and Christine has some experience, and but a lot of these don't, so it's not a bad thing for us all. Arian has a lot of experience. Denise, not so much. Vanessa, she's new to the industry. So, we
We
all
also
got,
have a new experience.
yeah, I'm just trying to get everybody on an even playing field so that when we actually go into the restaurant, and even though the people that have experience, they've never done what we're going to do, the way we're going to do it. So we're all going to have to learn that together. But I'm just trying to get everybody this kind of in the same place with base knowledge to start. That's what this week's about. Okay, guys? So I think I
Yes.
got everybody's hours in, so you'll get paid this week. I believe, Denise, you finished there. We got no problems in ADP. Everybody's been onboarded now. And
Everyone here, yes.
yeah, so all you guys are set up in payroll. Our work weeks are Monday through Sunday. So next Sunday is the end of this week, right? The end of this weekend. And then I believe it's Thursday. If you're on direct deposit, you'll see your paycheck in the bank on Thursday. You can always sign on ADP to see your check stub if you have to question it. When we get we're not in the restaurant yet, but I'll post everybody's hours. I'm an open book. If you think your tips got screwed up, you and I will go to the POS. We'll go with Chris. We'll run all your sales reports. People make mistakes. We don't touch a penny of your guys' tips. I know some people not so. Sometimes
Honest.
it's yeah. Some companies I just look at and go, oh my god. We're going to discuss training. Obviously you have to tip out a few people, but not like not as much in most as I see everywhere, right? Everybody needs to tip the bartenders something. They're making your cocktails all night for your guests, right? Everybody needs to tip out the food runners that deliver your food. And table attendants are going to need to tip out somebody on the beverage staff. I don't know how we'll do that yet. We'll discuss it, whether it's but those beverage attendants are delivering all your drinks all night for you. I don't believe we never, if a customer comes in our restaurant, one experience, one check. Bartenders, if I come to the bar and wait at Mae Daly's for my table, bartenders are not allowed to ask me to cash out my bar check. One experience, one check.
Transfer it
Just
over.
went to a very fine restaurant in Las Vegas. We had a drink because they couldn't seat us. And the bartender insisted we close our check before we went to our table. I found it very odd at a high-end restaurant. Shouldn't do that to people. The bartenders, if Jason has customers at the bar and they have a couple rounds of drinks and then they go in the dining room, he's going to transfer the table to the table attendant or the beverage server that's going to serve them. The drinks are all going to be on their check from the bar. He's going to print the copy for himself. He's going to put it in the glass. At the end of the night, here are my transfer checks for each waiter. We'll decide on a percentage of the service, his sales. He has to get that tip, right, for his sales. But we'll agree as a group. We call them our transfer checks. How much, you guys are going to tip the bartenders on transfers. We're going to decide all these together. I'm not going to tell you what it is, okay? I will tell you, and this doesn't happen in a lot of places. I want you guys are keeping your own tips. You're just going to tip out an appropriate amount that you all are going to agree on to the supporting staff characters, the people that deliver your food or your drinks or make them, right? But I want you guys at minimum to keep 65, 70% of all your money. And that turns into a shitload of money for you guys. Excuse my French. It's not a pool. I mean, I've been in every situation with, if you look at our casinos, I don't gamble anymore. I used to like to gamble. If I wanted to play table games, I flew to Reno. I never played table games in Las Vegas. They pool the tips in the casinos. with the dealers. The dealers in Las Vegas are robots. Reno, the dealers keep their own tips. How you doing tonight? You need a drink? I'll get you a drink. Don't hit that. Don't hit. They'll be your advocate to win money at the casino in Reno. You don't know how to gamble, they'll help you because they know every tip they get is theirs and it's not going into a kitty. We used to run all. I'm sorry.
Sorry. No, sorry. Go ahead.
We used to run all our restaurants with pools. We did that when we started the company. We found somewhere between year 5 and 7, people became complacent and stopped trying. And store by store, we took out the pool system. And when we started letting people keep their own tips, service started going up. Even bad employees became good employees. It was amazing. So I'm a firm believer, keep your own money. You work hard, you give great service, you're going to make great tips. It's your money. You know, everybody doesn't make the same money in the restaurant when it comes to tips. But if everybody works hard, everybody makes incredible money. And
Question, are we going to be tipping out off of our sales or off of what we make? Because I've worked places where I tip off my sales or 20% of like what I made.
We only tip out percentage of sales on transfer checks.
Okay.
Jason transferred $150 of drinks onto your check, onto your table.
Okay.
He needs to get paid for his $150 worth of service he gave. Otherwise, it's a percentage of your tips. And
Perfect.
It's a non-cash environment. You don't have to put each other. Everything's on credit cards. We don't accept.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
it's pretty easy, you know. And
Yeah.
I have no problem with Chris posting a sales and tip report every night so that everybody can see exactly what came in. You guys keep yourselves honest. It's none of my business. Tips is none of my business. The only part of tips that's my business is to make sure the proper amounts on your paycheck that you guys tell me.
So I just want to ask a question because, excuse me, a couple employees have asked me. So they'll be responsible for their own tip compliance. There is not going to be a set tip compliance that they have to claim?
No. It's all credit cards. There's no tip compliance.
There's no tip compliance. Okay.
I'm not even going to sign an agreement with the IRS. I don't need to.
Oh, okay.
They're going to give me
It all shows up on the check anyways, right?
It's all credit cards. So there's
They
no
tax it as income. Yeah.
The IRS loves me.
Yeah.
I worked on an advisory board in the restaurant industry with the IRS voluntarily starting in 1987 when we started developing all the tip compliances. So before that, there was this myth in the restaurant industry that as long as you claim 8% of your sales and tips, it's a safe haven and you're never going to get audited. That's a lie. A lot of those people wound up in bankruptcy believing that. And the problem with the IRS is it's not dismissible in bankruptcy. Taxes are not dismissible by bankruptcy. You need to pay your own tax. You don't want worst thing in the world. Worst thing in the world is trust me.
Actually, Tommy was asking.
No, there's no tip compliance here.
Okay.
I was 29 years old and I owe the IRS over $1 million. You'll never want to be in that shape. Trust me. And I'll never be in that shape again. I have like no deductions on my tax return. Everybody thinks I'm crazy. It's like, you've never had trouble with the IRS. Trust me. Just pay your taxes and move on in life because they will end your life when you owe them money. It's not good. Yeah. So I like to think that I protect my employees that way. You're not going to have the option to cheat. And just so you guys personally know, not reporting income is a felony. It's the way they get mobsters in jail. When they can't arrest them for actually doing crimes. It started, the first one they did it to was Al Capone. He went to jail for tax evasion, not for any other crime. That's how eventually, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the RICO statute for organized crime. Taxes plays a huge part in a RICO case. Pay your taxes in life. I don't want to pay everybody else's taxes. You know? But I will tell you one thing, you'll be able to buy homes and you'll have huge lines of credit and your life will get better when you make good income and you can show it. When 1997, when I started with Charlie, we only had one restaurant and I put everybody, including cash, I put everybody's tips on their paychecks. I had to watch my back leaving work at night. These guys wanted to beat the hell out of me. A year later, they all came back and thanked me. They had no idea how much money they made. Lots of them bought homes because they qualified for mortgages now. Legitimized their lives. These were guys that made over $100,000 a year in the 90s, waiting tables, and would squander at least half their income before they got home at night. It's worse in Vegas. How many people you work with that work at a casino, leave with their cash tips, and the money never makes it out of the building? I can't tell you how many employees I had with that problem because Denise. It's good. It's a good thing. It's a good thing to have, credit scores. I think the maximum credit score is 900. But the higher your credit score runs in life, the cheaper everything gets for you in life. Right? You buy a car, you pay cheaper interest rates. You buy a house, you pay cheaper interest rates. Everything in life financially gets better with the more and more income you can show. The idea of cash in my pocket, and it's very short-sighted in life. Very short-sighted. Usually people that live their lives that way, very few people have the discipline to take cash and manage it. I don't have it. Never did. Never will. Denise doesn't have it. Never did. Never will. It's a hard thing. It's nice to see a big chunk of money at the end of the week. That's nice. And it's all still there. I actually still have it. It's not my job to run people's lives, but it is my job to protect my employees. And that's what I will do. Okay. What was our takeaway, Taylor? I don't know. You thought you got off the hook.
Pay your taxes.
Be attentive to your guests and pay your taxes.
Good girl, Taylor.
Have a good life. My business credit card is now attached to my personal accounts. I didn't open up new credit card accounts, right? I added business cards to my existing personal accounts. My credit score just rocketed. I just broke 800. My life is going to get better. When I go buy my next car, it's going to be cheaper. That's how it works, It's a good thing, and hopefully you guys are all going to make more money than you know what to spend it on. That's my hope. But I'm sure you'll figure out how to spend it. All right, I don't have anything else. Taylor, be a team player. Not Taylor, Orion, be a team player. Save Taylor. Give us some words of wisdom. I know you're smarter than me, so give it to us.
You say he needs some words of wisdom.
Yeah. Give us
This is something that I go by. Progress is impossible without change. Those who cannot change their mind cannot change anything.
Action. That's a good one.
That was good.
I like that. That's a takeaway.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night.
Good night,
See you tomorrow.
everyone.
Good night.
If we work
Good
more,
night.
I'm paying you the full 3 hours. So.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
Right.
All right, guys. Yeah. Have a good one. That was pretty good.
That was really good. Good day.